Beats by Trill, straight Killerville, dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We back. The one and only Paul Pickett, host of the Paul Pickett Podcast, a.k.a. Triple P, a.k.a. the Common Sense Podcast, your source for music, sports, politics, world events, and much, much more. Of course, we're going to take you back in the world of bare knuckle fighting. My guest I'm about to bring on just had his BKFC debut fight night at Pachanga last Friday at the Pachanga Resort Casino in Temecula, California. He's a bantamweight, and he defeated Anthony Yost for his first BKFC victory. Let's bring him on. He's got one of the coolest names ever, Mike Mighty Mouse Hansen.
What's good, buddy? How you doing?
What's good, man? Appreciate you doing this, and congratulations on your win, man.
Thank you again. It was definitely hard earned, I'll tell you that.
So I was, I like to do my research, see what cats did before. I noticed you had like 4 losses going into this. How are you still so confident, man?
Because the losses that I took, they weren't against just like some average Joes. They were guys that have either moved on into the UFC, fought in guys that are in the UFC, or have paved their way off of a victory over me through defeat me. So I wasn't too down on myself on that 4-fight losing streak, but I also knew that bare knuckle is a whole different breed, and I literally feel like I was made for bare knuckle.
Now, Anthony Yost made his debut too. Like, was it easy to or hard to prepare for somebody when like both of y'all were actually making a debut, and both of y'all probably didn't know too much about each other? Like you said, BKFC is totally different. I don't care what you've seen in some MMA stuff. Like if there any wrestling involved or anything of that, it's not the same.
No, yeah. The well, he had a fight out in like the Midwest. He had a bare knuckle fight, and he ended up getting knocked out in 30 seconds. So I didn't have much to look at. Other than that 30-second fight, I just knew that he was a tank and he was a dog. But I also knew that my experience and the opponents that I've fought and lost to didn't compare to the opponents that he fought and lost to, or fought and beat. Because here in Cali, the talent pool is very deep in the lighter weight classes, and I fought a guy that Sean O'Malley fought and beat. So I could say I have a victory over the same guy that Sean O'Malley has. So that's the caliber of competition I was dealing with. So I was confident already. And then my boxing coach definitely enhanced my confidence with 5 years of training with him.
I see you. It says you're a coach at F45 training in Golden West. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so that's a functional like boot camp hit gym. I've been doing that kind of training for probably a little over like 7 years, 8 years. I just love to teach small group classes. I have the personality for it. The way I am outside of the ring or the cage is not the way that I am inside the cage. I'm very witty, funny, high energy. I think I'm funny, so it just fits into that category of teaching a small group class, getting people to like me, and then it also keeps me in shape too, because I cannot work at a desk job doing 9 to 5. There's no way I can make 135, 125.
Yeah, because I work behind a desk from home, and I got that computer gut, man. You're right. It'd be hard to make it.
Yeah.
Now I was looking. It said you boxed, but it said something like you were suspended or something.
When?
I don't know. Was this you, or was this somebody else said suspended by California State Athletic Commission?
Does it tell you the reason why? I mean,
Nah. It was under one of the websites that I was looking up.
Right. I had a boxing fight at Pachanga in Temecula, January 19th of this year, and I ended up losing by TKO. So that's probably why they got that suspension up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, let's get into the fight.
Yeah.
So you got knocked down. Like
Yeah.
what I had it. What was it at? It was like a minute into the round, if I'm not a minute left in the round. You got knocked down.
Yeah. Left hand right here. Should
Were
still
you
have it.
were you worried at all when you got
Uh,
knocked down?
of course, yeah, because it was a deja vu of like my last 4 fights. Because I'm the kind of fighter where I'm gonna live by the sword and I'm gonna die by the sword. I don't want to go out there and just have a boring, safe fight that's not gonna give me a bonus. That's not gonna get me back in the promotion. But this one was different because I just can't explain it. It's just bare knuckle. Like I just felt super comfortable in my element, and I did not want to lose that opportunity when I was good. I was genuinely good. I was hurting to be like, uh, I got dropped and I was kind of like weary at first, and then
Yeah.
8 count saved me. Got up and I was like, all right, I'm solid. Game time. And then that's when I decided to rush him rather than have him rush me.
Yeah, and then I think when you got him, you came with like a right, left, right, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it was a simple. It was a step jab to gauge my distance.
Uh-huh.
And then I threw that right hand, that left hook
Okay,
to
left hook.
to his chin, and that's what kind of like stopped him in his tracks. And it was just that split second where I just dropped my hand and I just threw the overhand right because I thought he was gonna kind of frame out, so I was gonna try to go over his hand, and he just stood there, literally
And
waiting
if
for me.
yeah, he just fell back. You could just tell, like it was perfect because you hit him and he just stood there for a second and he just boop fell
Yeah,
back.
the moment I hit him, I ran over to him, looked at him in his eyes to kind of like let him know like if you get up, it's gonna happen again. That's why I put my hands up as I'm walking away because I'm like, there's no way he's gonna recover from this, and if he does, I'm gonna damage him more, which was the intention, obviously.
I was just about to say it felt like you already knew it was over at that point.
Absolutely. I could just look at his eyes, like not like being cocky, but I could just tell like his
Yeah.
eyes were like it was not there, and I knew the ref was gonna call it. It was
Yeah,
just the technicality.
and the ref should have caught it because when he got up, he stood there for a second and then he tried to walk forward and you could just see him kind of like
Yeah,
stumble and the ref caught it and then he had this look on his face like, what are you doing?
yeah,
And
yeah,
which
yeah.
I will commend him though, because I've been seeing some dudes just quitting lately, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's
That,
another thing. It's like there's been a lot of quitting going on lately.
that's the one thing that BKFC will never see me do. I will never quit until I'm knocked out. Like you could break my orbital, you could. I mean, I have fake teeth. If you knock my teeth out, I don't care. If I break my hands, I'm still gonna go. The only way I'm gonna go out is if it's a TKO, doctor stoppage, or I can knock clean out cold. There's no way I'm gonna stop. There's no way possible.
Now you said something about the bonus earlier, so you definitely care about trying to get fighted tonight, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because if I draw a performance like that and then the fans love it and the fans demand me back, why won't I get taken care of? And even in the back before the fight started, Boss Man came back, David, and said he's itching to give some money out, but we have to give him a reason. And so I commented on the post that they posted of me knocking him out, and I said I think I deserve a comeback bonus. And he commented back and said, there's a bonus coming my way. So now I'm just waiting.
Yeah, and it seems like you were really beloved in your debut.
Yeah, I felt the love. I felt like my experience with MMA and then being a local guy. There was a few guys in the car like Victor Rosas. I know him very well. Ruben Ware and I go way back. Um, Fernando, we trained at Dan Henderson's gym for a few years back in the day. I just felt the love after the fight, and I feel like the reason why I got as much love and attention is because I overcame adversity, and they saw me get up from almost being knocked out to deliver a brutal knockout. If I would have gone out there and just knocked him out, I still would have got some love, but not as much as being that guy like, oh, he got back up. He got dropped, and he came back and knocked the dude out. So I loved Friday night.
And I know the fact that you came back right away and knocked them down and basically got it over with. I know that probably made it a little like you were probably happy because one thing I know about BKFC from interviewing enough cats is it's different than boxing. You know, boxing starts out slow and then it gets fast. BKFC starts out fast and gets slow because the longer them rounds go, the more tired you're gonna get.
And the more damage you take too. That's one
Oh
thing.
yeah, that too. Yeah.
When I got knocked down, I was able to look at the time. I was like, damn, dude, we got about 14 seconds left. Well, at the time, it was like 18 seconds left. I said, I do not want to go to a second round. These punches hurt. My hand hurts. I don't want to go a second round. So I said, either, again, I'm getting knocked out or he is. And that's when I just went in there with bad intentions and I just let my hands go.
And I have to admit, man, these 3 early fights were a lot better than the last, like one of the last cards. Like
Yeah,
all the fights were really, really good. Even like the Joe White fight. I forgot who the guy he was fighting, but I was impressed. Like he reminded me of Zach Kalmus, the Shark. I don't know if you're familiar with Zach Kalmus.
is he that British fighter?
Nah, he's out of like Boston, Massachusetts area. He wears the Jason mask all the time. He got the long curly hair and whatnot.
Sounds familiar. Yeah, sounds familiar.
Now, let me ask you, like the main event, what did you think about that? Like the quick 5-second knockout in that?
That was something else. I mean, what the fans wanted to see was a back and forth 5-round war. From a fighter's perspective, Ruben Ware and Robbie Peralta trained their asses off. And Ruben Ware, that wasn't a lucky 3-2. It wasn't lucky. If you look at how Ruben came out, and again, he had his fight camp out, I think, in his hometown in Louisiana or from wherever he's at. But I've known Ruben for a long time. When they said knuckle up and he stepped back, he knew Robbie was going to come pressure, which Robbie did. Robbie made the mistake, in my opinion, with all due respect to him, just by, for some reason, he put his hands out like this. And that just caused a reaction out of Ruben to throw that 3, which grazed his head, but that 2 just left his face wide open. From whatever Robbie did to like, because he didn't throw a punch, he came out like framed. So Ruben threw that 3, and it was just enough time for him to turn those hips over, turn those shoulders, and crack them right in the jaw. And it wasn't a lucky punch. I know he was training that over and over and over. I know for a fact he was. But I was looking forward to a back and forth, like bloody 5-round war, fight of the night.
Well, it's got to be disappointing for not just the fans, but Robbie Perez as well. Well, I mean, like all that training, man, and just 5 seconds, it's over that quick, man.
Yeah, that's it. Fans don't understand. Like it stings. It hurts when you get put out. Like just in general, like if you get knocked out in 5 seconds or like 30 seconds or a minute and a half, it just sucks because the first thing you think about is like, I busted my ass off. I was cutting weight, dieting, training 3 times a day, hurting every day to just come out here and lose in 5 seconds. But he has to hold his head high because leading up to that fight, he's had a phenomenal bare knuckle career so far. Like nobody could take that away from him. He's 3-1 for a reason, bare knuckle. Well, now it's 3-2. But Robbie, he's a dog. If they fight again, who knows what would happen. But Ruben landed a beautiful, beautiful right hand down the middle.
So you're a bantamweight. I mean, I know the fight. You just had to fight. Any idea about who you probably gonna try to fight next, or do you ever try to shoot for fighting certain people?
No. The only way I would ever petition or urge the promoter for a fight is if I know I'm ready for a title fight, and I just want guys to get me there. As of right now, 135 was just to get my door or to get my foot in the door. I don't fight at 35s. I fight at 125. So my next fight, it'll be at 125 or a catch weight of 130, and I genuinely don't care who it is.
And what weight class is that? The 125.
That's the flyweights.
The flyweights. Okay, that's what I thought. So that's John Dodson, good friend of the show, J.R. Ridge. Yo, you're in I call that the bulldog weight class. Y'all like the bulldogs. I mean, y'all all the same height as me, but y'all like all cock diesel as hell, man. Y'all like little short, stout bulldogs, man.
Yeah. I mean,
like you got Tyler Randall, Chauncey Wilson in this. I mean, this is a tough little division
stacked.
right here.
It's stacked. I don't think I'm going to be very transparent. I don't think I'm ready to fight anyone that's been in BKFC for a minute or has had the experience, I'm looking to fight either another 1-0, 1-1, or 2-0 kind of guy. But then again, if they have an opportunity for me at 135 and it's a good opportunity, a good matchup, I'm gonna take it.
Now, and I know you gotta really love the fight, man. I mean, you had 4 losses coming in this one, and you still like, all right, let's do it. And that's the thing. I think a lot of cats don't realize when you get into bare knuckle, it's just gonna be totally different. And a lot of people can thrive in bare knuckle, even if they weren't thriving in other MMAs, from what I'm seeing. I mean, the face of the what Mike Perry. I mean, he's better in BKFC than he is in MMA, right?
No, that's this is one thing I was waiting to say, and in all my interviews I've been doing so far, and you're the only podcast so far that I've got onto. He's a huge inspiration to my career and into this next step because again, Mike Perry's a great fighter. We're all great fighters, right? He didn't have a good run in the UFC or in MMA, but he was good. He got some wins, he got some losses.
And he was known. Yeah.
He was very well known, and people didn't want to fight him because the motherfucker comes to fight. When he went to from MMA and instead of retiring, he went to bare knuckle. He shined. That's what I'm trying to do. I don't have the best record. I don't. I've gotten finished more than I've gotten finishes, but I know for a fact bare knuckle is my sport. I've been saying it for 3 years. My son in the other room texted me right after the fight. He's like, "Dad, for 3 years you've been chasing BKFC. They gave you the chance, and now I got a beautiful knockout to start the second card in Cali off." So BKFC, bare knuckle boxing. I've said it for the past 3 years. I'm gonna say this every time I get the chance to. It's my sport, and I'm looking forward to thriving it.
Y'all had another sold out crowd too, man. That's why I always ask, like, how big is BKFC probably gonna be, man? I mean, can it be as big as UFC?
Absolutely. I feel like, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on the BKFC roster and I've never fought for the UFC. The UFC is always going to be the biggest combat sports business in the world. I don't think any other combat sports will top the UFC company. However, they could combat with them, meaning someone over in the UFC might be worried that BKFC might be taking over their viewers, their fan base. They might want to work a deal out. I don't know, but I think BKFC is that promotion to give the UFC a run for their money in a very tight, close race too.
And the fact that it's extending a lot of fighters' careers
Mm-hmm.
is a really, really great thing. I mean, you got Austin Trout,
Mm-hmm.
coming over there and winning the belt. I don't even remember if he won a belt in boxing, but
No, but he was a dog, and I mean,
yeah,
we
he
all.
was a dog. Yeah, yeah. Everybody know who he was. Yeah.
But the moment you take the gloves off and you have an experienced, very experienced boxer in there, those fists hurt and they're accurate. And I've been training with a lot of guys, a lot of boxers, amateur level, high level. I've been going to Maywood boxing out here in LA, and some of these kids that have been training since they were 6, I'm just like, man, how are you guys able to whoop on me like this? And I'm 34. Like, you guys are embarrassing me. Like, I have a son who's 15 years old, and these kids over here are just smacking me around and making me rethink fighting. But then I go and fight, someone that's not as experienced as them, and I do very well. And I have to give that credit to all them because there's no way I would learn how to take that kind of damage or react a certain way. But BKFC, to add to that really quick, I feel like is a sport for people that want to venture out before they retire. This is the decision before they call it quits. If you can't make it to the UFC, fine. Then you got Bellator, you got PFL, you got all these other smaller, bigger companies that you can fight for. And if you can't get there, well, then you can go to BKFC.
And you know what's even crazy about BKFC? I've interviewed a couple cats that actually got into like pro boxing just so they could get into BKFC. Because you either got to be a pro fighter, they said, or you got to go through the ranks of like the prospects. And a lot of people don't want to go through the prospects, so they'll go fight some pro boxing fights and get beat up in that. And like, all right, I'm ready for the BKFC because that's what they wanted to do the whole damn time, man. I'm like, that's crazy, yo.
Yeah, I had that. I made my professional boxing debut in January of this year at Pachanga, and after that fight, because I fought a very, very well known amateur that turned pro that day, and he landed a beautiful right hand on me. But from that day on, I knew that was one step closer to getting to the BKFC because Nate, the promoter, also told me, he's like, I didn't go to any tryouts. I only have one boxing fight, but I have 7 or 8 MMA fights. He's like, I normally don't do this, but I'm going to give you one shot. And I said, look, you give me one shot, watch what's going to happen. And I'm so glad I delivered because now I'll for sure be getting a call back very soon to fight for them.
Now, what do you think Conor McGregor is going to do for the sport? You think he takes it to a whole nother level?
Of course. Of course. I mean, look what he did with the UFC while he was a fighter. Now that he has the fighter mentality, the fighter experience, and he has the business side now, which he's developed over his years, David Fetterman made the best decision on bringing him on as a partner because he's only going to do a handful of things. Be a great investor into the company, bring on the best fights, host the best fights at the best venues, rather than having a fight to fight at a casino. Now you're going to go to the sold out arenas, and you're going to have numbers at the gate that are going to be higher than the UFC because you're going to have guys like Conor McGregor pushing for this fight. And everyone knows Conor McGregor. So, like, if they find out that he's going to show up at Pachanga, I guarantee you there would have been a million people there just to go see him.
And you're right. It seems like BKFC is doing a lot of casinos. I have seen that. And they're right there primed to go to, like you said, civic centers and arenas. I mean, because 8,500 sold out. That's what the WNBA is getting in some of their games. And that league is like 20-something years old.
Yeah.
We're talking about a league that's only, 6 or 7 years old, BKFC?
Yeah.
I mean, it is moving like grease lightning, man.
Fast.
Now, what do you think about this Jake Paul and Mike Perry fight?
Oh, man. I have a lot of thoughts on this. Mike Perry he's the opponent, and everyone's going to say this about everybody that fights Jake Paul. I mean, Jake Paul has fought some great guys. However, he's fought guys that were on their way out. Like, for example, with all due respect, Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley twice. The only time that he's ever lost was to that Fury guy by decision. So he fought a real good boxer and then lost to a good boxer. Mike Perry is a great fighter, but I do think, and I'm not just saying this just to say this, I do think Mike Perry is that guy to. I don't think he's going to be able to knock out Jake Paul, but I think he's going to be able to beat him up enough to where he slows him down and he can't deliver. But I also, to be on the transparent side too, most people are probably going to hate me for saying this, Jake Paul can knock out Mike Perry if Mike Perry's not if Mike Perry's not safe.
Okay, so, I didn't see that one coming. So
I don't want that to happen. By no means do I want Jake Paul to touch him or even get a victory anymore because I'm tired of talking about this guy. But I do think Jake Paul, like, people sleep on, like.
I was about to say that he's underrated, right? They think he's just a YouTuber, right? Yeah.
But he's been from what I've heard, or I watched that little thing about him on Netflix. He's been taking boxing serious the past 4 years. 4 years of 24/7 training, 365 boxing could change anybody into a great fighter, a great boxer. He's not a great boxer. Don't get me wrong. If you put him in the professional ranks, he's going to get swallowed up quick. He's fighting guys that aren't boxers. And the one boxer he fought, he lost to. So, but Mike Perry can knock out, or Jake Paul can knock out Mike Perry. But Mike Perry's a dog. We've all seen him with no gloves on. Now you got pillows on your hand. He's going to eat those punches, and he's going to just rip away at Jake Paul's manhood and take it from him. That I see happening.
Now, do you think Mike Perry will try to knock him out?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think what Mike Perry's going to do is.
I hope so.
Yeah. I think what he's going to do is what he does in all of his BKFC fights is he doesn't come out and just start throwing with no technique. I think he's going to weather the storm, let Jake Paul hit him with his best shots, because that's just how crazy this fucking guy is, Mike Perry. And he's going to let Jake Paul know, like, I hit you with my best shots and I can't knock you out. And then he's going to start to go to work.
Now, your fight name, somebody gave that to you or you came up with that? Mighty
No, I,
Mouse?
I got that in high school wrestling because
Okay.
I was like 5'2", 120 pounds, and I was bench pressing like 315, squatting like 450, and tossing guys around in my weight class. And they're like, "Dude, you're like freaking Mighty Mouse." And I was like, "Oh, I like that." And so everyone on
So
social media is like, "Oh, like you have to change your name because that's Demetrius Johnson's name." I'm like, with all due respect, I earned that. I didn't take it because of him.
so have you implied anything from wrestling into the BKFC?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. My grit and my dog and my never give up attitude. Um, I was looking forward to working a lot more clinch work because I don't think he wrestled, and I've been wrestling since I was about 10, all the way through high school. So I was looking forward to getting in there, grappling with him a little bit, pummeling, and just working a lot of those shots from there.
So what do we think your next fight's gonna be? Probably like 4 or 5, 6 months, because they usually
Yeah,
space these fights out.
yeah, yeah. If I came out completely healthy, I would have asked and petitioned to be on the August September card. But
Uh-huh.
if they have, I mean, at the rate that they're going with how many shows that they put on in a year, I if they have a card November, December, I don't care where it's at. I'm gonna ask to get on that card for sure.
That's what's up. Yeah, because they're definitely pumping out these cards. I mean, they got Sturgis in what, August 2nd or 3rd, I think it is.
Yeah, third, yeah, and
And
then
you
they have
got
another
Bret
one,
Hart versus Taylor Starlin on that one.
and then you have September 13th out there in Hollywood, Florida.
Let me ask you about the women, the BKSC women. Like, what do you think about these fights? I mean, these fights are crazy to me. They all go the distance.
Yeah, a lot of so the women fighters in BKFC are a lot like the women fighters in the UFC, not in MMA, but
Okay.
in the UFC. If
Okay.
you look at a lot of the guy fights in MMA, from my perspective, in UFC, they play it safe because they don't want to get that loss on their
Mhm.
record and then not make it to the road to the championship. These
Uh-huh.
these women, have a lot to prove because fighting is a man's sport, to be honest. But when they come out and they fight like they do, especially with the gloves off, they put a lot of these other fighters' performances down the drain because some fighters will just come out and play safe, too safe, and it's boring. These girls can't do that because then they're not going to have a big draw. Then they won't get called back. So I like the girl fighters, man. Like I'm looking forward to that Sterling fight. Um, they're dogs, man. Like they fight harder than some of the guys sometimes. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I think they have to because the fights always go the distance, man. And
Yeah,
there's always just like one female fight every time. So they really got to make the most of their, opportunities.
absolutely. Yeah, that's a good point because they won't have a lot of opportunities, and when they do have them, they have to make sure that they deliver.
Yeah. And, you got 10 other guy fights and then one female fight. It's tough, man. But like I got to say, they're all warriors. I mean, I just interviewed Melanie Shaw recently. She's went viral for fighting Bret Hart, and a tooth got flown out and face
Yeah,
all bloody and beat
yeah.
up, and she's
Well,
smiling afterwards.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She posted that on her Instagram too about the how like her face is swollen up. It was crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yep. Well, we normally just wrap it up at the 30-minute mark, man.
Gotcha.
Anybody you want to shout out before you go?
Of course, I want to shout out my boxing coach, Dale Roy Ball. That man's a legend. He knows everything about boxing. He's the one that got me to where I could get that finish. My other corner, my other buddy, Chris Solis, for all the sparring. Tony Thompson for letting me work with a lot of his amateurs and his pros. My kids, to have them deal with my shit for the past 2, 3 weeks. Um, my beautiful, beautiful girlfriend who had to deal with my shit too. And then F45 Golden West, the owner Adam Shorter, and all the members out there for showing up, and everybody tuning in, commenting, liking the fight, and then I want to thank you for this podcast too, and this time on the air.
I want to thank you for doing this interview. I'm definitely you a friend of the show. Make sure I follow everything you do on social media. Anytime you want to come back on, please do, man.
Sounds good, bro. Same here. Yeah, same here.
I appreciate it, man. Mighty
Thank you.
Mouse.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, that was Mighty Mouse Hansen. If you didn't see it, go to the BKFC YouTube page. You can see the first 3 fights on their last live, and he definitely won in his debut and hit the dude, and dude basically hit the canvas and got up dizzy as hell. Anthony Yost, I think his name is. So yeah, man. Be on the lookout for his next fight. Like you said, probably, October, November, December. These cards, they put pumping out so many cards, man. They already got another Florida card with Redneck Mundell and Reber fighting. You got Reber fighting Blas for the belt. Blas just won the belt, and now he's got to defend it against my second favorite fighter, Ryan Reber. And then, of course, you got Redneck Mendel fighting, I think his name is King Mo, if I'm not mistaken. I want to make sure I got it right. I think it's King Mo. But, I'm definitely, King Mo. So I'm definitely rooting for my guys. And I'm actually a fan of Alberto Blas, too, because he's actually the first interview that I set up when I did the Circle of Kings and I produced their content. And he ended up fighting right after that and won with like a 3-piece and did a backflip, So he likes to do backflips after he beats people. But according to Reber, he's not going to be doing a backflip this time. So, yeah, man, y'all go check out my man, Mike Mighty Mouse Hansen on the BKFC YouTube page and check out his last fight. And we're definitely going to keep following him and supporting now that he's a friend of the show. Once again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Paul Pickett Podcast. And we out.